What's going on, y'all? I'm gonna teach y'all how to complete the three-headed monster puzzle. So, there is a monster with 3 heads and 3 tails, and all I have to defeat it is 1 sword. But there are some rules that go along with this. With each swing that I take with the sword, I can either chop off 1 or 2 of the heads, or 1 or 2 of the tails. Now, there's also 4 more rules that go along with that. Rule A, if I cut off 1 of the head, right, another one will grow back. Rule B, if I cut off 2 of the heads, nothing will happen. So I can cut off these 2 heads and there'll just be 1 head left. Now rule C, if I cut off 1 of the tails, 2 will go back. So if I cut this one off, there'll now be 4, right? It adds 2 more onto that. Now, if I cut off 2 of the tails, a new head will appear. So I can cut these off. Now there'll be 4 heads. So it's a little tricky when you're trying to solve this, but I'm gonna show you how to do it efficiently. So starting off, we have a sword, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut off 1 of these tails. Now, when I cut off that tail, what's gonna happen is 2 are going to go back. So now there will be 4 tails and 1 head. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off the 2 tails. And when I cut off the 2 tails, due to rule D, a new head will appear. So now there are 4 monster heads and only 2 of the tails. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off the 2 heads. So when I cut off the 2 heads, according to rule, I believe it's rule B, when you cut off 2 heads, nothing happens. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the 2 heads. So now there are no monster heads, but now there's just 2 tails because again, nothing happens when I cut off 2 heads. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off 1 singular tail. The reason I cut off 1 singular tail instead of 2 tails is because a new head will appear. Now you're probably thinking, if I cut the 2 tails, I only have 1 head left. Let me just cut the head off. But rule A states if you cut off 1 head, another one will grow back. So if I continue to keep cutting the head, it'll be an endless kind of thing of just the head regrowing back. So that's why I only cut off 1 tail, because now 2 tails will grow back in its place, which leaves me with 3 tails. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off the 2 tails. When I cut off the 2 tails, it leaves 1 tail left, but according to rule D, if I cut off 2 of the tails, 1 new head will appear. So now there's 1 head, 1 tail. It's not really much of a monster anymore, it's kind of a hound dog. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off that last tail, and when I cut off that last tail, what's going to happen now is leaving you with just 1 head. But when you cut off 1 tail, according to rule C, 2 will grow back. So that leaves me with 1 head, 2 tails. So what I'm going to do now is cut off both of the tails and leave me with just 1 monster head and no tails, because when you cut off 2 tails, it grows a new head. Okay? So now there will be 2 heads, and this is pretty much the final step, because according to rule B, when you cut off 2 heads, nothing happens, and there's now no monster. And the monster has been slain with just 1 sword. It only took 9 steps. And that's how you solve the 3-headed monster puzzle.